And now, to present our final award of the evening, would you please welcome philanthropist and longtime supporter of Courage to Come Back Awards and the president of Wade Capital Corporation, Brooke Wade.
Good evening. This award in the category of medical honors that person whose life is changed forever as they fight to live fully and completely in the face of a debilitating medical condition.
He was born during the Second World War in an internment camp in British Columbia for Canadians of Japanese descent, a time of shame in our country's history. From early on, his parents noticed a problem with his vision. At first, they believed that his vision problems were due to a lack of food and poor nutrition. But it turns out that he was born with congenital nystagmus. He was legally blind. He couldn't see the blackboard at school. Reading a book was an arduous task. Life was never going to be easy for Tom Teranishi. Tom was one of 7 children, and his parents and brothers and sisters never compromised for his blindness. He learned to ride a bike. He couldn't see the blackboard, but he got good grades. And he made friends who treated him just like everyone else. In his teenage years, Tom began to present signs of poor renal function. But in spite of that, in 1961, Tom registered at the University of British Columbia. To keep up, he had to have friends read to him, use magnifiers, listen so very carefully, and then just remember facts and figures. He didn't ask for special consideration, and he never received it. 7 long years later, Tom earned not just a bachelor's degree, but a master's degree in social work. But the universe was not done with Tom, not by a long shot. Following graduation, Tom began to work at the now demolished Shaughnessy Hospital. It was a huge job, but still he found time to join the Kinsman Society so he could find and fund walkers and wheelchairs for his patients. At the hospital, he supervised students doing their social work practicums. Tom stressed the importance of an holistic recovery, that the social aspects of a patient's life were as critical to recovery as the pills and treatment they were receiving. And then it was 1978. Tom's left kidney had ceased to function many years before, but now Tom was told his right kidney was failing as well. By 1983, he was on dialysis. And in 1984, Tom received a transplant for his right kidney. And for the next 30 years, that new kidney served him well. At work, he transferred to Vancouver General Hospital when Shaughnessy Hospital closed. He continued to mentor social work students. He began to serve on more and more volunteer boards. And life should have been smooth sailing. But as the 21st century dawned, Tom's health began to deteriorate. Like dark clouds appearing on the horizon of a sunny day, medical problems were gathering to completely change the life of Tom Teranishi. In the early 1990s, Tom's eyesight began to fail completely. Corneal transplants saved 5% of his vision. And then in 2012, his transplanted right kidney began to fail. Tom began experiencing fainting spells and falling frequently. A pacemaker was inserted to help regulate blood pressure. With reading almost impossible and increasing medical issues, Tom made the tough decision to retire after more than 40 years of service. His once active life was now lived between medical appointments. He was put on a kidney transplant list. And if you think he just sat around and waited for it, well, you just don't know Tom. He joined the board of the Japanese Seniors Healthcare Society in 1986, and to this day writes a column in the Japanese Canadian News magazine. He served on the Community Health Advisory Committee for Vancouver Coastal Health and on the board of the Canadian Disabled Individuals Society. He was a fundraiser for the Lions Club, and there's so much more. But here's the news you've been waiting for. Just over 9 months ago, almost 2 years after being put on the transplant list, Tom received a new kidney. His friends rejoiced. You see, the only list longer than Tom's accomplishments and efforts to help those less fortunate is his list of friends. Tom is a good friend. He is genuine in a world that celebrates fake, sincere in a world that celebrates cynicism, and stronger than words can express. Since birth, he has never given up, always reaching out so that others can succeed. He is a man of strength, a man overflowing with warmth and human compassion, a man who inspires us all with his incredible courage to come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 2016 Courage to Come Back Award recipient for medical, Tom Teranishi.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a very great evening like I am. See, I got a special microphone because if I stood there, I'll be under the podium. So anyways, I would like to thank Coast Mental Health and its sponsoring organizations which they hold their event every year since 1999. And that's a great feat. Thanks, everybody. It is great to have this time to thank this organization for allowing me to get this honor to have a award. As you have heard, that I have poor vision, so therefore I have to rely on my memory to do this speech. So please bear with me if I have some senior moments, because that may happen. To put 73 years of life into 4 minutes was quite a challenge. So, therefore, you can imagine that I'm a bit nervous, as it took some courage to stand here before you. So here goes. I view life like going on a journey, and with each of us experiencing our own unique events as we go along life with its twists and turns. Along this journey, we can come face to face with some adversities in the form of mental, social, or physical challenges. These challenges can have a profound effect on our lives. So therefore, I would like to dedicate my award to all those people out there who are trying to deal with their own life's challenge. From a personal perspective, I was born with very little sight, and it was a big challenge for me as a toddler to get around my environment safely without crashing into things. I attended public school and went on to go through university. I obtained a Bachelor's of Arts and a Master's degree in social work. I got a great beginning in my public school years, as my classmates were very understanding and did not treat me differently from any other student. I also was involved in all their activities that they had. After university, at university, I had volunteer readers to help me to keep up with my courses. After university, I began my professional career as a medical social worker, working in rehabilitation hospitals in Vancouver. However, at this time, I also developed some other medical issues besides my vision problems. These issues, one of these issues was that my only working kidney was failing. So at the age of 40, I had to go on dialysis and received a kidney transplant a year and a half later. As you are aware, that after a kidney transplant, one has to go on what is called anti-rejection medications, which I did. So anyways, I became quite despondent with dealing with all my medical issues at that time until a friend came by and he said, Tom, he said, it's better to be above ground than below ground. This I always remembered. As it gave me incentive to move on. So basically, with the medical issues and the work that I was doing, I thought that I might just give up, but I kept on going. I never gave up my social work job, as I found it so satisfying to help individuals to make their lives better. Volunteering was also a thing that I wanted to do to say thank you to all these people who have helped me in my life. Things went quite well until about 2004 when all of my medical issues started to catch up with me, so I had to retire. However, I kept up volunteering on a limited basis until about 3 years ago, as my first kidney of 30 years began to fail. So here again, I was put on dialysis and received a transplant 8 months ago. It was tougher for me at this time than the last transplant in view of my age and medical situation. However, I have now regained my strength and mobility and can start volunteering again. So I think it's my persistent attitude that keeps me going and keeps me trying and not to give up. I don't like to stop doing things that I care about and love to do, such as volunteering, going to theater, and to sporting events, like the Whitecaps soccer game. Which my friends and I have season tickets. But I love it going there. So I think that I think that it's important to say that because you have vision problems and medical issues does not mean that you can't participate. So I think that my short speech, I hope that I've given some inspiration and encouragement to those people who are facing adversities at this time. And I think I would like to leave one thought with you, is that anyone can be faced with adversities, however serious it is, but to overcome it takes effort, courage, conviction, and commitment. I find also that a sense of humor does help a bit. But it's hard to have a sense of humor when you have to deal with what life is throwing at you. So my advice is to keep on going forward one step at a time and don't give up. Thank you for your kind attention, and I hope you have the rest of a good evening. Thank you very much.